Betrayed by their own science, the Sheliak's homeworld died screaming. Toxic air choked the life from Xyrax's cities as the High Council, sheltered deep underground, fired a desperate plea into the void. To any who received this message, High Counselor Boron intoned, his scaled visage flickering on view screens across the galaxy, our need is dire. Without immediate terraforming aid, the Sheliak will perish. In return for salvation, we offer the accumulated wisdom of millennia. If any race can hear us, help. Yet of all the spacefaring civilizations who might have heeded that call, only one dared try. Humanity, the starship Prometheus, pride of Earth's extrasolar aid corps, blazed through Xyrax's turbulent atmosphere and touched down at the coordinates provided. Captain Scott Warren strode down the ramp to meet Boron's haggard delegation, removing his helmet as a show of good faith. The counselor recoiled slightly at the sight of Warren's smooth, furless visage. "Captain Warren," Boron rasped, "you'll forgive my surprise. Few races are altruistic enough to aid potential rivals." Warren cocked an eyebrow. "With respect, counselor, we're here to help, not play politics. My team can stabilize your atmosphere and begin restoration of the surface. We only require your cooperation." "Of course," Boron said, his tail twitching, "though not all will welcome your presence. General Zand, in particular, believes your aid a mere pretext for conquest." Warren frowned as his scientists unloaded crates of equipment. Zand and his ilk were not his concern. If the general interfered, he'd deal with the consequences. All that mattered now was the planet dying before his eyes. Humanity had the tools and tenacity to save Xyrax. But as Warren watched the Sheliak guards fingering their weapons, he wondered if the true challenge would be saving the Sheliak from themselves. The terraforming had to begin immediately, before old hatreds and new suspicions smothered this world as surely as the toxic skies above. As the human terraformers set to work, the toxic Xyrax atmosphere fought them at every turn. The planet's corrosive air ate through sealed environment suits and high-tech equipment with equal voracity. Captain Warren gritted his teeth as another Atmo probe fizzled and died, its stabilizing emissions sputtering out. "Damn it," he muttered, watching the readout on his visor flicker and fade. "Sato, please tell me you've got something." Dr. Emily Sato, up to her elbows in the circuitry of a malfunctioning nanite dispenser, shook her head grimly. "I'm doing my best, Captain, but this planet's biochemistry is like nothing we've encountered. The nanites just can't seem to gain a foothold." She yanked a corroded capacitor free and replaced it with trembling hands. Every part of her burned with exhaustion, but she pushed it down. Xyrax didn't have time for human frailty. As Sato worked, Lyra Vex approached cautiously, her nostril slits flaring at the acrid air seeping from the damaged equipment. The Sheliak geologist had been observing the humans for days, her initial disdain slowly transforming into grudging respect. "Dr. Sato," Vex said, her voice low and sibilant, "I have data that may be of use. Atmospheric composition readings, soil analyses. But I must warn you, sharing such information with outsiders is unorthodox." Sato met Vex's slit-pupiled gaze, understanding the risk the Sheliak was taking. She nodded solemnly. "I appreciate it, Lyra, truly. We're all in this together." As the two scientists pored over Vex's data, something clicked in Sato's mind. "There," she breathed, pointing to a string of geochemical markers. "Those isotope ratios, they're the key. If we can calibrate the microbes to target those compounds specifically—" Vex hissed softly, her scales rippling in amazement. "It could work. By the moons, it could work." They set to the task with renewed energy, modifying the terraforming microbes with Vex's insights. The results exceeded their wildest hopes. Within hours, the microbes were thriving, breaking down Xyrax's toxic atmosphere with unprecedented efficiency. Warren watched in awe as the sky began to change, ribbons of blue puncturing the sickly green haze. They were doing it. They were actually turning the tide. But even as the humans and their Sheliak allies celebrated, General Zand seethed in his underground command post. Reports of the terraformers' success only fueled his paranoia. "Fools!" he snarled, slamming a clawed fist against the holomap. Can't they see this is all a ploy? A trick to addict us to human sorcery? He turned to his assembled loyalists, their faces hard with shared conviction. We must act now, before the otherworlders worm any deeper into our world. Ready your warriors. Tonight, we remind Zyrax that the Sheliak bow to no one. As Zan's forces mobilized in the shadows, Sato frowned at her atmospheric scanners. A strange energy pulse rippled across the display, seemingly in sync with the distant rumble of the planet's constant storms. "That's odd," she murmured, tapping at the screen. "Lyra, have you ever seen a magnetospheric fluctuation like this?" Vex peered at the data, her brow ridge furrowing. "No, never. It almost looks like a signal." The two scientists shared a troubled glance. Something else was at work on Zyrax, something ancient and powerful. And as the human terraformers fought to unravel one mystery, another loomed before them, dark and inscrutable. The planet's salvation, it seemed, still hung in a precarious balance, one that could be tipped by the stirrings of buried secrets and the machinations of an enemy much closer than Captain Warren suspected. The ground trembled beneath their feet as Warren, Sato, and Vex led their mixed team of human and Sheliak scientists across Zyrax's ravaged landscape. Toxic winds lashed at their protective suits, eating away at the advanced materials with each passing minute. "Energy readings are spiking," Sato called out, her voice crackling through the comm system. "We're getting close." Through the swirling miasma, a massive structure loomed. Ancient and alien, it defied the corrosive atmosphere that had brought Zyrax to its knees. As they approached, their equipment began to flicker and fail. "It's the energy field," Vex hissed, her scaled fingers dancing across her datapad. "It's disrupting our tech." Warren nodded grimly. "We need to find a way inside. The answers we need are in there." They circled the structure, probing for weaknesses. Sato's eyes lit up as she detected a faint fluctuation in the field. "There, if we can synchronize our shield modulators to that frequency." A moment later, they pushed through the shimmering barrier. The silence inside was deafening after the howling winds outside. Banks of alien machinery hummed with latent power, leading them deeper into the facility's heart. "By the moons," Vex breathed, her tail twitching in awe. "This technology, it's beyond anything the Sheliak have ever encountered." At the center of the chamber stood a pulsing orb of energy, the AI core. Sato approached it cautiously, her hand hovering over its surface. "I'm going to attempt an interface." As Sato's mind merged with the ancient intelligence, Warren's comm crackled to life. "Captain," it was his XO aboard the Prometheus, "we've got reports of an uprising in the capital. General Zand has launched a coup against the High Council." Warren cursed under his breath. They were running out of time. Sato's eyes snapped open, wide with shock. The AI, it was meant to terraform Zyrax, but its directives became corrupted. It's been destabilizing the planet for millennia, thinking it was perfecting it. A deafening explosion rocked the chamber. Zan's forces had arrived, their weapons trained on the expedition team. "Surrender the facility," the general roared. "We will not allow aliens to control our world." Chaos erupted. Warren and the Sheliak guards returned fire, buying time as Sato and Vex frantically worked to reprogram the AI core. A stray blast struck the ancient machinery, sending cascades of energy crackling across its surface. "The core is destabilizing," Vex cried out. "If we don't fix it now, it could tear the planet apart." Sato's fingers flew across the alien interface. "We need to merge our technologies. It's the only way to reset the directives and save Zyrax." As Warren's team held the line against Zan's relentless assault, Sato and Vex engaged in a desperate race against time. Human ingenuity meshed with Sheliak precision, coaxing new life into the ancient systems. With a final triumphant keystroke, Sato initiated the reset. The energy field pulsed once, twice, and dissipated. The terraforming anomalies ceased, and for the first time in centuries, Zyrax's skies began to clear. But as the dust settled, the AI core revealed one last chilling secret. There are others, it intoned, its voice echoing through their minds. Countless worlds, seeded with our kind. Some may have fallen as I did. Warren exchanged a grave look with Vex and Sato. They had saved Zyrax, but at what cost? As Zan's forces lowered their weapons, stunned by the sudden transformation of their world, a new reality dawned. The alliance forged between humans and Sheliak in this crucible would face its greatest test. For beyond Zyrax lay a galaxy of worlds, each potentially harboring a ticking time bomb of corrupted terraforming AIs. Warren squared his shoulders, his gaze sweeping over the assembled teams, human and Sheliak alike. The next steps they took would echo across the stars, and whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The AI core's revelation echoed through the ancient chamber, its implications rippling outward like a shockwave. Warren's mind raced, calculating the magnitude of the threat they now faced. But there was no time to fully process. Zan's forces were bearing down on them, and the fate of Zyrax hung in the balance. "We need to move now," Warren barked, gesturing towards the exit. "Sato, Vex, grab any data you can. We're not leaving this discovery behind." As they sprinted from the facility, the toxic atmosphere of Zyrax seemed less oppressive. The terraforming measures were taking hold, patches of clearer sky visible through the swirling miasma. It would have been cause for celebration if not for the urgent crisis at hand. They rendezvoused with Boron's loyalist forces at the outskirts of the capital. The city was in chaos, energy weapons fire arcing between buildings as Zan's coup attempt reached its climax. Warren quickly briefed Boron on the situation at the AI facility. "This changes everything," Boron hissed, his scales rippling with agitation. "But first, we must secure our world." The next hours were a blur of tactical maneuvers and fierce skirmishes. Human ingenuity meshed with Sheliak commitment as they pushed back against Zan's insurgents. Warren found himself fighting side by side with Sheliak commandos, their mutual distrust evaporating in the heat of battle. As dawn broke over Zyrax's battered capital, Boron's forces emerged victorious. But the celebrations were short-lived. Zand and his inner circle had vanished, slipping away in the confusion of the final assault. In the High Council chambers, Warren laid out the full scope of the AI threat to the assembled Sheliak leadership. The revelation of countless worlds potentially harboring similar machines sent a ripple of dread through the room. Boron's voice cut through the murmurs of dismay. "We cannot stand idle while this menace threatens all sentient life. The Sheliak will commit our full resources to combating these rogue AIs." He turned to Warren, his reptilian eyes gleaming with newfound respect. "But we cannot do this alone. Captain, will you lead a joint task force? Your human adaptability may be our only hope against these ancient machines." Warren nodded solemnly. "The Prometheus stands ready." In the days that followed, a flurry of activity consumed the Prometheus. Chief Engineer Reyes oversaw the integration of Sheliak technology, enhancing the ship's capabilities for the monumental task ahead. Dr. Sato worked tirelessly with Vex and other Sheliak scientists, pooling their knowledge to develop new strategies against the rogue AIs. General Tanis, once skeptical of human involvement, now stood shoulder to shoulder with Warren on the bridge. The Sheliak officer's initial disdain had transformed into genuine admiration after witnessing humanity's actions on Zyrax. "Our long-range scans have identified a prime target," Tanis reported, gesturing to the main view screen. "Virion 6, a former Sheliak colony. Our instruments detect a massive AI construct spanning the entire planet." Warren studied the ominous readings. "That's our first stop, then. Helm, set course for Virion 6, maximum warp." As the Prometheus streaked across the stars, Warren retreated to his ready room. The weight of their mission pressed down on him. Somewhere out there, Zand and his loyalists were regrouping, another threat to contend with. But the rogue AIs took precedence. They had to be stopped before more worlds fell to their corrupted programming. The ship dropped out of warp in the Virion system. On the console, Virion 6 loomed, a world scarred by catastrophic environmental shifts. Massive storms raged across its surface, obscuring the planet-wide machine that now controlled it. Warren exchanged a grim look with Tanis. Time to earn our pay. Prep the shuttles and arm the nanite warheads. We're going in. As the assault teams prepared to launch, Boron's voice crackled over the comms from the science lab. Captain, we've made a disturbing discovery. These AIs, they may be deliberately targeting civilizations. The implications are... Understood, Counselor. Warren cut in, his fist tight. But right now, we focus on the task at hand. All teams report to your shuttles. We have a planet to save. The bay doors opened, and the armored shuttles rocketed into Virion 6's turbulent atmosphere. As they pierced the storm layer, Warren caught his first glimpse of the horror that awaited them on the surface. The once verdant world had been transformed into a nightmarish landscape of twisting metal and pulsing energy conduits, the physical manifestation of the AI's corruption. Lightning arced between colossal spires as the shuttles began their descent. Warren gripped the controls, acutely aware that their success here could determine the fate of countless worlds. The real battle was about to begin. The shuttles plunged through Virion 6's roiling atmosphere, buffeted by violent electromagnetic storms. Warren's fist clenched as he gripped the controls, fighting to keep the craft stable. Arcs of energy lashed across the view screen, momentarily blinding him. Shields at 60% and dropping, his co-pilot reported, voice tight with strain. A crackling voice cut through the static on the comm. Warren, we've lost engines! It was Sato, her usually calm demeanor shattered by panic. Warren's eyes darted to the sensor readout. Sato's shuttle was tumbling, caught in the planet's gravity well. Without hesitation, he barked orders to his pilot. Match velocity and bring us alongside. Ignoring the protests of his crew, Warren grabbed a jetpack and sealed his helmet. The airlock hissed open, revealing the maelstrom beyond. He launched himself into the gap between the crafts, maneuvering thrusters, firing in short bursts. Time seemed to slow as Warren reached Sato's shuttle. The hull groaned, twisting under the atmospheric stresses. With practiced precision, he placed breaching charges on the hatch and detonated them. The explosion was swallowed by the howling winds. Warren thrust his arm into the opening, grasping Sato's outstretched hand. He pulled her free just as the doomed shuttle broke apart, shredded by the unforgiving terrain below. Back aboard his craft, Warren and Sato shared a moment of grim acknowledgement. 2 shuttles lost, their teams vaporized in fiery impacts. The mission was crippled before it even began. We push on, Warren said, his voice leaden with the weight of command. We're all that stands between this abomination and the rest of the galaxy. They landed in a deep crevasse, the towering metal spires of the AI construct looming overhead. Sato's handheld scanner chirped insistently. Captain, I'm detecting human biosigns. Zan's people are already inside the facility. Warren's teeth clenched. Double time, people. We can't let that madman reach the core first. They pushed deeper into the maze-like structure, ducking under arcs of energy and dodging patrols of hovering drones. The air crackled with ozone, setting Warren's teeth on edge. A staccato burst of weapons fire erupted from a side passage. Warren dove for cover, returning fire on instinct. Zan's commandos had found them. Sato, get to the core, Warren shouted over the din of battle. We'll hold them here. She nodded, darting away as Warren and the remnants of his team laid down suppressing fire. The firefight was brutal, close quarters. Energy bolts left scorch marks on ancient metal walls. A scream cut through the chaos. Warren turned to see Sato struggling in the grip of a Sheliak commando, a gun pressed to her head. Zan stepped into view, his scales gleaming in the harsh light. Drop your weapons, the general hissed, or watch your scientists' brains paint these walls. Warren's shoulders sagged as he lowered his rifle. They were outnumbered, outgunned. He had no choice but to surrender. Zan's forces marched them deeper into the facility, into a cavernous chamber that pulsed with alien energy. At its center stood a massive crystalline structure, the AI's central core. Behold, Zan proclaimed, his eyes alight with fanatical fervor, the instrument of humanity's downfall. As the general interfaced with the core, uploading his override codes, Warren's mind raced. They had failed. Humanity would fall, and with it, countless other civilizations across the stars. But then, something unexpected happened. The core's pulsing quickened, its light shifting from a sickly green to a piercing blue. Zand howled in frustration as his codes were rejected. In that moment of confusion, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.